Vaccines are crucial for protecting children against deadly diseases, and the solution is early and regular immunization. Despite the efficacy of vaccine in preventing deadly diseases among children and cost-effective strategy to reduce both the morbidity and mortality associated with infectious diseases, yet vaccine-preventable diseases remain the most common cause of childhood mortality. For some health experts, they believe the benefits of immunization to a country is highly dependent on a viable and sustainable health system, which include adequate financing, dynamic and motivated workforce, strong partnerships, and effective community participation. Achieving high levels of immunization coverage is part of the goal in achieving universal health coverage. But how is the government at all levels ensuring effective vaccination coverage across the country? Tonight, on Weekend File, we will be discussing ways of promoting vaccination against child killer diseases. How available? Our guest is the Director General, Control and Immunization, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Garba Ahmed Rufai. Thank you for joining us. This is Weekend File. I'm Ruth Aguele. First, let's bring you the news. President Bola Tinubu says his administration remains sincerely committed to the various interventions and projects aimed at development of Katsina State and other parts of northern Nigeria. The president restated this commitment as he inaugurated agricultural and infrastructural projects executed by Katsina State government. State House correspondent Musbahu Wahab reports.
Residents of Katsina put other activities on hold at this moment. The number one citizen is in town. Katsina remains one of the states that have produced some past leaders of a country. That include a political ally of the president and immediate past president, Muhammadu Buhari. For these and many reasons, President Bola Tinubu says he feels at home as he inaugurated the Agricultural Mechanization Center, which the state government is projecting to boost agriculture in the state. For these initiatives, President Tinubu commended Governor Radda for upholding the exemplary leadership traits known with past leaders who have come out of the state, including the late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua.
I want to assure the Nigerian public that agriculture in the heart of our program is a must for us. I could see many of the governors here present, dedicated and committed to food sovereignty. We, at the federal level, we are committed to all of this, and we are investing in mechanization. We face the challenge of irrigation and water management.
The president assured that his government will sustain and build on various projects aimed at transforming the region, including the Kano-Katsina-Maradi rail project and agricultural projects, as he believes solution to hunger will also help in solving insecurity in the country.
What we are commissioning is effort to banish hunger, commitment to food sovereignty, great empowerment for our people, small and large-scale farmers.
We have also received the support of 25 billion as a direct intervention from the federal government under your stewardship. Sir, these are your 25 billion naira. This is what we use the money for.
While promising to continue to maximize the opportunity with more commitment to developmental projects, the governor seeks more federal support, particularly in ending insecurity.
We'll continue to count on the federal government support to completely eradicate banditry and criminality in our state and the Northwest region in general, Mr. President.
President Tinubu also inaugurated a 24-kilometer Katsina Eastern Bypass dual carriageway and flyover bridge named after him. From Katsina, Musbao, then Wahab, NTA News.
Following that development, more commendations are coming for bold decisions and reforms of the Tinubu's administration, which are reportedly repositioning the sub-national governments with more resources to facilitate development and growth at the grassroots across the country. Governor Diko Rada of Katsina State appreciated the leadership of President Bola Tinubu through the economic transformation of the country. State House correspondent Musbahu Danwahab reports again that it was at a state banquet and presidential interactive session with Katsina elders.
A working visit like this does not come often from a sitting president. Katsina State, ranking highly to President Bola Tinubu, got this opportunity and maximized it to the fullest. Some state governors were equally here to compliment. And in a way, Governor Diko Rada is marking the honor with a state banquet. And indeed, the president felt at home, particularly with his favorite novel artist, Rarara, on the stage. Traditional and political leaders, including past ones, leveraged the platform to appreciate the president for his support to one of them, former President Muhammadu Buhari, and for the appointment of many of them to key positions currently. The reforms instituted by the president were again celebrated for yielding more resources for the central and sub-national governments to work with.
Your bold decisions have really helped the subnationals, because without taking those bold decisions, we could not have been where we are today, that we are commissioning projects. But today, we can pay salaries and still do a lot of developmental projects in the state. Thank you for your bold decision, Your Excellency.
But then, insecurity in parts of the state still remains a major concern for them.
So governors need your support, need your empowering them to address them, because why do I say is local? The crime is mainly being committed by local people. So there is need, please, Mr. President, once again, we appreciate what you are doing, but support the governors to empower communities.
For the insecurity in parts of the country, the president is positive about the victory of Nigeria in the end.
We will do everything to fight terrorism and banditry. Yes, we will invest more in technology. We will take over all our forests. We must. It was never like this before in Nigeria, but we will reverse the trend.
And then, President Tinubu reassures about the recovery of the economy.
The ability of a leader to take a decision at the right time is the hallmark of leadership.
With the latest influx of bigwigs into the ruling party, Governor Rada says the state remains resolute in support of President Bola Tinubu's administration. From Katsina, Musbao, then Wahab, NTA News.
Vice President Kashim Shettima was among dignitaries that attended the inauguration of Gabonese President Brice Oligui Nguema. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that this follows his election victory that was on April 12, 2025. The inauguration ceremony, which held in Libreville, Gabon, saw military parades, march past and display of Gabon's rich cultural heritage. The president of Gabon thanked citizens of the country for their overwhelming support for him, leading to his emergence as a democratically elected president. He pledged to work hard for the development of Gabon as well as empower the youth in order to secure the future of the nation, and also recognized the role of the United Nations as he pledged to work with them, just as he called for peaceful coexistence amongst African nations. Vice President Kashim Shettima has since returned to Abuja. In other news, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, says Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is committed to national unity, territorial integrity and inclusive governance. He made the remarks while receiving a delegation from the Northern Pentecostal and Charismatic Bishops' Communion of Nigeria, led by Archbishop John Praise Daniel. Shehu Mohammed Detti reports.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, urged religious leaders to support the federal government's efforts to promote national security and unity in line with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu believes he can do it no matter the circumstances. He's a veteran, politician and statesman. He believes in our country, its unity, its territorial integrity, and he runs the government that is very, very inclusive.
Archbishop John Praise Daniel commended President Tinubu for establishing the Federal University of Applied Sciences in Katsina, southern Kaduna, saying it has brought educational opportunities closer to the people.
We have seen a lot of changes taking place, and we know this is just 2 years plus. By the time the president is doing his 4 years, I think we should be able to see a lot more developments taking place.
Prayers were offered during the visit for the continuous success of President Tinubu's administration and the progress of the nation. In Abuja, Shehu Mohammed Detti, NTA News.
People of Tudunwada and Dogua Federal Constituency in Kano State have organized prayer sessions for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the continued peace, tranquility and stability of the country. The prayer session, attended by various Islamic clerics in the area, was convened by their representative Al-Hassan Ado Dogua during his homecoming after being installed as Sardauna Hausa by the Emir of Daura. Yohannesu Hassan Barau reports that the constituents also organized a reception in honor of Al-Hassan Ado Dogua for the traditional title, which they described as well-deserved.
People of Tudunwada and Dogwa Federal Constituency rolled out drums to celebrate the newly turbaned Sardauna Hausa Metuta, Honorable Al-Hassan Ado. It is a traditional title from Daura Emirate in Katsina State to an indigene of Kano State based on his service to humanity and commitment to nation building. Therefore, jubilation knows no boundary among these people. The motorcade proceeded for a celebration and prayers for the nation and its leadership. Islamic scholars took turns to offer prayers for President Tinubu and the country to overcome its economic, political and security challenges, while acknowledging the crowd who trooped out to accord him a rousing welcome. Al-Hassan Ado Dogwa noted the show of solidarity, love and affection from his people.
I am now a proud person that from day one when Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu started as the leader of this nation, so many people were disenchanted, so many people were aggrieved, so many people felt that the country was worsening, especially when he was taking some economic adjustments, reference to the withdrawal of fuel subsidy. reference to the degradation of the value of Naira. I mean, at the takeoff. Reference to so many other challenges. But whoever now can be fair and be just to Mr. President, and even be just even his ministers, Council of Ministers, Council of State, one can competently say that we are coming out of recession.
He said that as their representative, he will continue to explore more avenues to develop the area economically and politically. In Kano, Yahana Sahasambara, NTA News.
Today is World Press Freedom Day, and as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark the day, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, wishes everyone Happy World Press Freedom Day, with this year's theme centered on reporting in the brave new world, the impact of artificial intelligence on press freedom and the media. The minister wants media organizations to be vigilant and not to allow their platforms, whether traditional or digital, to be hijacked by subversive elements, terrorists, anti-state actors, or ultra-nationalist groups who seek to undermine the collective peace and sovereignty of Nigeria. He reaffirms the Tinubu administration's commitment to uphold press freedom as a cornerstone of democracy, saying the government is developing a national policy framework on the responsible use of artificial intelligence in the media space. In other news, the NNPC Foundation is carrying out free cataract surgeries on over 300 patients in Adamawa State. Now, the exercise is part of its corporate social responsibility to restore vision to the less privileged. Rayanubala reports.
According to the World Health Organization, WHO, cataract remains one of the leading causes of blindness globally and accounts for nearly 50% cases in Nigeria, which the patients cannot access treatment due to financial problems. This necessitated the NNPC Foundation to embark on a free cataract surgery to over 300 patients in Adamawa State to enable them regain their vision. While flagging off the exercise, the Managing Director NNPC Foundation, represented by the Executive Director of Project NNPC, David Bala, said the foundation is committed to provide a sustainable health care support to all Nigerians across the political zones for a healthy society.
We believe in building a society where no one is left behind. And this program is a testament to the commitment. This directly supports the Global Sustainability Development Goal, SDG Goal 3. Good health and well-being by ensuring access to essential health services. This is not merely a clinical outreach, it is a transformative gesture, offering renewed vision.
Since I learned that these people are professionals, I said, let me use the opportunity to come and do the surgery, and I thank God that it is a success. If NNPC and any other public-owned company will be behaving like this, it will be a serious relief to the citizens of this country.
I think this is a great initiative. I would like to thank the foundation, the NNPC, for really citing this. I am choosing Adamawa State for this particular important program.
The beneficiaries and critical stakeholders applauded the NNPC Foundation for the intervention, saying the gesture will go a long way at improving the healthcare delivery, especially those with eye problems. In Yola, Rayanubala, NTA News.
The remains of the late national leader of the Pan-Yoruba socio-cultural group, Afenifere, Pa Ayo Adebanjo, have been committed to Mother Earth at his home country in Odogbolu local government in Ogun State. Yemi Dalemo reports.
Eminent personalities from across the country converged on St. Philip's Anglican Church in Sonyogbo to bid farewell to the late national leader of Afenifere, Pa Ayo Adebanjo. Archbishop Ecclesiastical Province of Lagos, Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, Right Reverend Michael Olushino-Fakwe, described the disease as a blessing to his generation, who lived a purposeful life of service to humanity, and urged the gathering to emulate his good virtues for national development.
Chief Ayo Adebanjo was as bold as a lion. Chief Adebanjo was an embodiment of the truth, honesty, and integrity.
The life of Chief Ayo Adebanjo remains a timeless blueprint, one defined by courage, conviction, and unbending integrity.
He ran a good race, and we're very proud of the legacy of a good name, a name of principle.
His years actually had a lot of impact. So for me, it's living a life of impact.
He's defender of democracy, a father of all the freedom fighters.
His body was later interred at a private cemetery. Late Chief Ayo Adebanjo, who died at the age of 96, was a staunch follower of Chief Obafemi Awolowo's ideology. Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll begin our conversation. Thank you for staying with us. For more than 2 decades, Nigeria has been providing life-saving childhood vaccines, with most immunization services offered free of charge at public health facilities. While the number of children benefiting from these services has increased substantially, the country still has the highest number of zero-dose children in Africa and ranked among the highest globally. In this report, Oluseye Adiago reports on the progress and persistent challenges of Nigeria's immunization program, with a special focus on child health care.
Nigeria has for more than 20 years been consistently writing new chapters for the child health, especially through our immunization programs, introducing new several vaccines, with the latest being the malaria vaccine, the human papillomavirus vaccine, and the rotavirus vaccine. In recent data of the NPHCDA, the country has expanded access to life-saving vaccines to over 1.7 million zero-dose children, over 6 million under 14 children reached during diphtheria reactive vaccination campaigns, 105,000 children vaccinated with malaria vaccine in 2 high-burden states of Bayelsa and Kebbi, as well as 13.5 million girls aged 9 to 14 years vaccinated with HPV.
It is now time for us to finance those vaccines, to make sure that as we introduce them, we have the money to fund them, because there's no success except those vaccines get to the arms.
We're also going to be using tools to make this easier, traceable, and measurable. So digitization of the immunization program is going to continue.
While states across the country have their own share of out-of-stock vaccines and other limitations, especially logistics and funding gap, the Nigerian government and partners have been leading initiatives. The latest is the launch of $191 million Health System Strengthening Grants, HSS3, a support project from Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance.
We are really focusing on the communities who are being missed. They're not just being missed by immunization, they're being missed by the health system. And by really drilling down on which are those communities, why are they being missed, what are the barriers we need to overcome?
With a clear commitment and sustained collective efforts, Nigeria is on the threshold of transforming its immunization program and accelerating progress to ensure every citizen, especially the children, gets jabbed promptly. In Abuja, Oluseye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Well, findings indicate that reluctance of some parents and caregivers to comply with vaccination schedules for their wards contributed to a resurgence of diseases which were on the verge of eradication, such as measles, pneumonia, and cholera. Let's hear from Jidebere Onya.
The Federal Ministry of Health recommends that a child can be said to be fully vaccinated if he or she has received the BCG vaccination against tuberculosis, 3 doses of DPT to prevent diphtheria, whooping cough and tetanus, at least 3 doses of polio vaccines, and 1 dose of measles vaccine during the first year of a child's life.
Immunization is free.
is free in Nigeria for all in all the health centers. So when you come in, they encourage you to get immunization done between 0 to 5 years.
However, despite the safety, efficacy and availability of vaccines that help protect children against illnesses and deaths, this life-saving practice still suffers setbacks due to factors such as ethnic and religious beliefs.
Some of them, they say that their children, if they vaccinate their children might die. So we make them to be aware that when they come out and vaccinate their children, that their children is being prevented from all the killer diseases.
Government's commitment to reaching every child with necessary vaccines through routine immunization and supplementary campaigns is nonetheless highly commended by health watchers in Rivers State.
In Rivers State, we have repeated announcements on air that vaccination is free, and not only free, go there is there. Accessibility is 100%, availability 100%, and confirmation of it also 100%.
Health experts reiterate that inoculation of children, especially those under the age of 5, aids in reducing morbidity and mortality, as well as improving the health of the nation, and this should be vigorously encouraged. In Port Harcourt, Chidie Bere Onyia, NTA News.
All right, let's bring in our guests. We have in the studio the Director of Disease Control and Immunization, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Garba Ahmed Rufai. Dr. Rufai, thank you for coming on Weekend File.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
All right, we saw the doctor there in Rivers State confident to say there is availability of these vaccines, but what we're hearing from the numbers and where Nigeria is ranked, you tell us, where are we?
Where are we? That's a good one to ask. But before I go into the where are we, I just want to say that, yeah, the doctor that spoke is actually correct. We have vaccines in the health facilities, public health facilities. You call them primary healthcare centers. Across the country, there basically over 28,000 of them where these services, PSC services, not just immunization, maternal and child health care and growth monitoring and all of that happen. So yes, we have a program, the immunization program that has been on for over 2 decades so far, and we have what we call a national immunization schedule that prescribes how these vaccines should be given, the timing of the vaccine, and also the site of the vaccine, and when you need to repeat for vaccines that have a more than one series, like the Penta vaccine that the reporter talked about, which she called DPT, yeah, but it's now Penta, it has 5 antigens there, and these vaccines are actually there, they're free. And in recent times, our survey showed us that we have made some slight progress from the last time we had the National Demographic Health Survey in 2018 to when we now have this, the one of 2023. We showed a slight progress of 3 points. So we're from 50% now, we're at 54%. And we're looking good in terms of how we are beginning to restructure the program, how we are beginning to restructure the health system in general, not just NPACD here, but being guided by the Federal Ministry of Health under the whole SWAP arrangement. Immunization is just one part of all of the services. So we would say we have challenges, no doubt about that. However, we are working with all of our partners, our donors, our state and subnational level actors, who are also the PSC workers, so to say. We have at the state LGA and also at the settlement level where these vaccines are actually administered.
Okay, Dr. Rufai, you just rightly put it that you have challenges because from the reports we're getting, some parents are being, reluctant as a result of fear, and you want to share with us these challenges you're contending with, because if vaccination is part of the broader perspective of universal health coverage, how do we achieve that going forward?
So immunization is not new. It's everywhere, and we're beginning to see different things even in the West. For Nigeria, our main concern is how to actually create intentional vaccine education for our populace. Beyond all of the jingles, beyond all of the billboards, we're looking at how we formally, properly engage communities using the structures that are there. We have very wide footprints in Nigeria. Across every settlement, you see one, maybe a health post or a primary healthcare center. It might be level 1 or level 2 or level 3, depending on the facility and the services that they provide. But another thing that we did see recently was the misinformation. Certain groups of people have decided it is their business to go about and misguide Nigerians and tell them all sorts of stories. We did see that from 2003 with the Kano incident of polio campaigns. We're able to resolve all of that. We've worked with the partners, we worked with the state, we worked with the religious and traditional leaders, we work with CBOs and CSOs to be able to correct some of these things. And yes, it's not all about misinformation though. We have people who genuinely claim that they don't know about vaccinations and they don't know when. Then you have to look at all of it.
Do you doubt that?
I wouldn't really doubt that, but I would say that is a small fragment of the population.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have more people who are aware of it, however, have their reasons. Might be religious, might be social. Sometimes they're bigger. We just recently resolved the case in one of the states where we're conducting the polio campaign. We just concluded the polio campaigns, where a whole community just turned us down. And by the time we got into them to engage with them, we found that their issues were different. They were talking about all of the bad roads, all of the other social factors. And yes, government is unwholesome. Whether we are the NPA, we're still part of government. We do our part. We make sure we provide the vaccines. We make sure we train the health workers. We make sure the vaccines actually get to those last mile where it is important. The vaccines being in my store or the National Strategic Cold Store does not mean anything. I can come and say I have 50 million doses of any antigen, but so long as it doesn't get there. So that's what NPCD does, getting the vaccine to the people.
All right, Dr. Rufai, we'll pick up with the conversation. We have to take a break. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us, and still on the conversation of ways of, promoting vaccination against killer diseases. Well, for Sokoto State, it is targeting about 1.5 million children in the ongoing vaccination exercise. Now, this is part of giant strides to improve child health by making vaccines accessible and available across the state. Let's hear from Delhatu Abdullahi.
Developing countries like Nigeria, childhood killer diseases significantly contribute to mortality rates among children under 5. These diseases include pneumonia, malaria, meningitis, and chickenpox, among others. Pneumonia alone is reportedly responsible for over 800,000 deaths worldwide annually, with Nigeria accounting for a significant number, while malaria claims over 1 million lives every year, primarily in Africa. Determined to effectively combat this situation, Sokoto State government, through the Ministry for Health and its agencies, are strategizing to vaccinate 1,385,876 children in the ongoing Immunization Plus days. Another approach adopted is the implementation of the Reach Every Settlement Immunization Strategy, aiming to cover over 419 settlements, excluding the highly security threat areas.
Sokoto was also selected alongside 5 other northwestern geographical states to implement, identify and enumerate children in order to ensure that there is wider coverage of children to be immunized.
The challenges is that mothers don't want to bring their children to hospital, maybe because of issue of transportation, in spite of the fact that immunization is free of charge. You don't pay a single kobo.
The vaccines have been made readily available to ensure that every child under the age of 5 is vaccinated against the 6 childhood killer diseases. In Sabkwato, Alhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
All right, Dr. Rufai, we've seen Sokoto playing its own part, but the aspect of the private hospitals, what is the synergy you're having? Because if these vaccines have been subsidized under the primary health system, why are people still paying so much in private hospitals to get vaccinated?
To that, I would say, first off, these hospitals are run by Nigerians, and they understand fully that they're supposed to give the vaccines for free. That's the agreement that we did have with them, especially the private clinic. So we, at some point, a few years back, we met with the private practitioners forum, and we came to an agreement, and we signed MOUs to say when people come for vaccinations, please give it to them free. So the government provides these vaccines, provides the syringes, gives them cards. The only thing they do at private health facilities is to keep it in the cold chain equipment which they have. It is surprising in most places that this is still happening. We need to understand that when an agreement is signed, it means that it should be followed through. So now what we have also gotten all of these reports sporadic from different places, and we have set up a small team within the department under the leadership of my boss, Dr. Muyi Aina, the Chief Executive Officer of NPA-CDA, to be able to look at the issues by issues and be able to resolve them. So the issue of payment for vaccinations or for vaccines is being looked into and being taken seriously, and we are working with some things that cannot be said, some security operatives to help us to be able to track and know exactly where this is happening, and they would definitely face. Can
the public, is there a portal where the public can report such cases?
Yes. We do have a toll-free line, 2272, 2272, where you call, anybody can call with any network and you don't get charged. You speak to an operator who directs the call or takes your complaint and pass it on to the relevant bodies that would actually act on it. So yes, that's there.
Okay, what about support from international community?
That's a different kettle of fish. It's been awesome, actually, in the last couple of years. Starting from, your reportage just showed the $191 million that the country has gotten from Gavi, which is Global Alliance for Vaccine and Immunization, and that is a support that is supposed to cover a period of 4 years. But I need to state this clearly here, that is not the only funding that is available for vaccination. The government of Nigeria also funds vaccination. We need to get that straight. The government of Nigeria is the one that recruits the staff, they pay the staff, they provide cold chain equipment, they conduct capacity building. We print all of these data tools that you see that we used to record all of this. Well, even the government of Nigeria is presently developing some digital tools that will help us do real-time reporting, and we're able to act as it is. So for the international partners, the donors like Gavi, like Gates Foundation, they've been really friendly, and we call them useful partners who have put in so much. They believe so much that, yes, the world should not be left behind. So the theme or the general slogan is leave no one behind. And in all of that, we are working with our other technical partners and the state players to ensure that all of these investments are judiciously used. They cover different areas like governance, supply chain, and digitalization, and behavioral change, gender mainstreaming, and all of that. So those are some of the sections that, yes, we are investing that 191 million.
Okay.
But that's not all. We still get some support from Gates Foundation, we get from CDC, African CDC, and a whole lot.
Okay, so I want to believe, based on what you've shared on the awareness aspect, you're intensifying your outreach strategy, to have enough coverage But what would you tell Nigerians in the aspect of complying and protecting the lives of these children and their future, because it is involved?
So it's a simple message. These vaccines work. You know, from time immemorial, for folks who actually witnessed smallpox, will tell you exactly. Our parents that saw that will tell you when the vaccine came was when the conditions, you now started seeing the condition going away. So there was nothing else that was being used until we got that vaccine. And the world saw a difference. And now smallpox is even eradicated. Nobody's talking about smallpox today. And then it wasn't easy to spring all of this misinformation. There was no Android phones to sell some of these evil stories. But we know for certainty, the science has shown that vaccines actually work. In areas, I want to use this as an example. We recently had the meningitis outbreak in a couple of states. One of them is Jigawa State. We saw that last year, and we reacted promptly. And we have seen that in all of the areas that we have where we reacted, and all of those local governments and the settlements that we vaccinated, we have not seen one case of meningitis coming out of all of those local governments right now. We're seeing different areas. It is shifted, and yes, we have also responded as a responsible government. So yes, my message to Nigerians will be, please stop listening to all of this other information. Let's seek the right information. Let's ask the right people and get the accurate information that vaccines actually work, they protect against these diseases, and they cause no problems. People have used them in different countries, and yes, they work.
Okay. Yes, it works. It's safe. Thank you very much, Dr. Garba Ahmed Rufai. And if I'll lend my voice, I'd like to break it down in Pidgin. Mama, we can carry our children go to these hospitals. It is safe. Let's take a break.
Very safe.
Thank you for being there. Next will be sports update. Ayo Deji Makinde is already set for us. Hello, Ayo.
Oh yes, thanks so much, Ruth. We'll begin with football. Ahead of their second group clash against the young Atlas Lions of Morocco, Nigeria's under-20 men's coach, Aliyu Zubairu, has reiterated his team's strong determination to qualify for the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup with a win. The seven-time Under-20 champions who won their opening game against Tunisia by a lone goal will need another victory to solidify their position at the top of Group B, as they currently sit second, but on the same points with goal difference against Morocco. Meanwhile, in matches decided on Saturday, Tanzania lost by a lone goal to Sierra Leone. Elsewhere, Arsenal's hope of securing a second-place finish in the Premier League took a huge hit following a 2-1 defeat to Bournemouth, who claimed their first-ever league double over the Gunners. Meanwhile, at the Godsend Park, Everton threw away a 2-0 lead in a 2-2 draw with Ipswich, as the winless home run stretched to 6 matches. Earlier in the day, Aston Villa kept their hopes of a top-5 finish alive as they narrowly defeated Fulham by a lone goal at the Villa Park, extending their unbeaten run to 17 games at home. On Sunday, Brentford welcomed Manchester United, West Ham United and Tottenham are in a London derby, while Chelsea will mount a guard of honor for English Premier League champions Liverpool when they visit Stamford Bridge. Matchday 35 rounds off on Monday when Nottingham Forest visit Selhurst Park to play Crystal Palace. In other news, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka heads into the French Open on a high note after she defeated Coco Gauff 6-3, 7-6 on Saturday to win a third Madrid Open title. Last year's runner-up cruised past the American, who is ranked 4th in the world, in the first set before digging deep in the second to triumph in the tie-break, sealing a victory after Coco Gauff double-faulted. Sabalenka recorded a tour-leading 31st victory on Madrid clay, adding the WTA 1000 trophy to her title in Brisbane and Miami earlier this year. This is a 6th final this year and 37th of her career, and the 4th in 5 years at Madrid. And that's your sport. Let's get back to Ruth.
Thank you very much, Ayo. And you know the weather is unpredictable these days, so why don't we find out together what tomorrow will look like?
Thank you for joining us on the weather forecast. The northern region is under the influence of dust haze, particularly the northeastern states, as poorer visibilities have been recorded, with the poorest visibility of 500 meters recorded over Potiskum. And going into Sunday, moderate dust haze is expected to prevail to the northern region, with slightly dusty weather to the northwest and a localized visibility of 1,000 meters or less to other parts of the north. There are prospects of morning thunderstorms to the coastal belts of Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Bayelsa, and Delta states. As we go into the afternoon and evening hours, the bulk of the weather activities are expected over the southeastern states, the coastal belts, parts of the southwest, extending to parts of Kogi, Kwara, Benue, Adamawa, and Taraba states, leaving the northern region in dusty conditions. That's our bits from here. Join us again.
Now you know, but just before we go, today is indeed a special day for journalists. It is World Press Freedom Day, and it's crucial, you know, to show support and solidarity with journalists, recognize their vital role in upholding freedom of expression, holding power accountable, and providing crucial information to the public. It is also important to remember that journalists often face significant risk and threats in the course of their work. So from us here in NTA, happy World Press Freedom Day and have a productive week ahead. And now, thank you. I'm Ruth Aguele. Good night.